talk about virtual reality coming to Xbox One. Shush. They can hear you. Let me talk about my thing. So anyway, before Monkey Paw's over there so rudely interrupted. Shut up. Anyway. Okay. So for those of you who haven't, I guess, heard, I burned myself. So it's been quite the talk, though, that the Xbox One Slim is being brought out at E3 this year. That's why they're saying that's why the price of the Xbox One that's out now has dropped to $299, because it's within, like, the sale for the $299 Xbox stops on the 13th, and that's like right before E3. So just a little bit about the Xbox One Slim. It's supposed to be 40% smaller than the Xbox One, and it's supposed to support, it's actually going to have a 2 terabyte hard drive, so more memory space, which is awesome, especially for those of you who play games a lot. But Xbox, quote unquote, Scorpio, as it's being called right now, is the new Xbox One console that's coming out. It's supposed to be quoted as a beefed up version of the Xbox One. So it's going to support a better graphics card. It looks like it's going to have 4 times the graphics as what the current Xbox One has. And then it's actually going to support the Oculus Rift. So basically, Oculus and Microsoft teamed up together. I can't read that. Microsoft and Oculus Rift teamed up. They're creating a console / VR support to support I know what I was going to say and now it's gone because I can't. I'm just going to have to put this up because Deanne's over there distracting me. So it's my understanding that they're going to try to make games that that you can play either with or without the Oculus, so that you don't have to buy a game separate, like, oh, this version supports Oculus, kind of like how you had to do with the Kinect. How there were some games that were Kinect only, but then there were some games that are like, oh, you can play it, but it's better if you use the Kinect. I think that's the direction that they're more leaning in. Like, it's good without Oculus, but it's better with it. Also, they've already started creating a VR version of Minecraft, which I think came out already, but it's not available to the public, obviously, because the Oculus isn't available on Xbox One yet. But I know that I've listened to some more popular podcasts that like host gaming conventions and things like that, where they have actually played this version of Minecraft on the Oculus and said that it's actually pretty cool to actually immerse yourself inside that kind of gameplay. So, but to kind of follow up on that, I know a couple of ago during one of the podcasts, Brandon or Remo317 had covered the PS4 and upgradable consoles. It's currently codenamed PS4 Neo, I think. Yes, yeah. PlayStation Neo is actually going to come with the PlayStation VR instead of the Oculus. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that Xbox owners are going to get the same thing. A lot of people had their inclination about it when the word came out that they bought Oculus Rift. But then for a whole year, it's like, nah, we're not doing that. Even though all the Oculus Rifts are going to ship with the ARC controllers and be automatically compatible with Windows 10, thank God they're finally going to just let it out of the cat out of the bag and just be like, yes, you will get your VR. Let alone the HoloLens that's going to be coming along with the Xbox soon.
Yeah. I think the only downside of it is that they did mention in there that consoles are now moving to a shorter dev cycle. So if you guys remember the PlayStation, I think it was PlayStation 2 was the last one. PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360, they roughly came out and introduced themselves at the same time. And then you had like an 8 to 10 year time span before the PS3 came out and before the newer version of the Xbox 360 and the the newer version of the Xbox 360 came out. So now they're kind of moving more in a direction where we're going to see upgrades and things like this across the board every 2 to 3 years or so. So I think that's where a couple weeks ago that yours had come into play with the upgradable consoles, rather than spending the money for a whole new console every couple of years like we do with phones and things like that now. you would just put in or download the updates to activate new parts of your console rather than going out and buying a whole new console. So from an affordability aspect, I think that's going to be cool to see and see what kind of like, I guess I'm shying away smoke. Sorry. Like trying to see what kind of, new things and developments come out of that. I know that right now, like if you have an Xbox One, you know that it's a fairly large console, but there is a lot of stuff in there that we didn't even end up using because they just introduced backward compatibility back in, what was it, November?
Yeah.
So all of that, and one of my friends that he plays on the PS4, I told him that we were going to be getting backward compatibility before it even happened. He's like, oh, well, you're going to have to buy all these parts and blah, 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 blah. And there's no way they're going to do that. But the Xbox One already came with that. And so it's going to be neat to see how everything kind of fits in together with this new one. They're saying that it's going to come out sometime in 2017 or at least be debuted. I don't think they're going to have it at this year's E3. I think that's primarily reserved for the Xbox One Slim and for announcing updates for moving everything over to Windows 10 so that way you can play on either PC or Xbox, which is what the whole Windows 10 thing is about.
Now, do you think they'll announce the VR aspect of it at E3?
If they do, I think they're just going to be talking about it. I mean, it's obvious that it's coming because last year that's when they had shown off the whole Minecraft VR experience for Xbox. So we know that that's coming. I'm hoping that the announcement that they bring out this year will be that it's going to be released in 2017. Because if you'll recall, the slim version of the PS3 came out like a year before they came out with PS4.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're kind of moving in that direction with it, and that's why they're coming out with the Slim. But not only that, come on, what were they thinking only giving us 500 gigabytes of hard drive space in the first place? These games are like gigantic.
So we would buy more systems.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, okay, so the PlayStation, so I listen to the IGN podcast. I don't know if we're allowed to say that on Twitch, but I listen to it all the time. And the girl that covers it, I think it was one of Alana Pierce's pieces that she was covering because she does a lot of the Xbox One stuff. But she was talking about how with the $299 price that's on the Xbox One right now, there's two ways that it could go. Either they're doing that because they're trying to clear their inventory so that they can bring in the Slim and phase out the large consoles like this, or that they're going to introduce it at $299 and it's going to stay $299. But what the concern was with that is that when you lower your price down like that, is it because you know that you're getting ready to come out with a new console, or is it because you're showing that your console is losing its credibility? So I don't know if the $299 price is one that will stay with the Xbox One Slim. So it'll be neat to see that because that's pretty affordable. I mean, when you consider everything that this console does.
Right, very true.
But I mean, even if it did go up to like $600 or $700 with the new one, I mean, you're getting the Oculus, you're getting all this with backward compatibility already being introduced, you're still going to have all that carry over. I mean, it's going to be worth what they price it at.
But see, with the price of $600, though, they're going to alienate, just like PlayStation 3 did. A lot of people are just not going to be able to afford it, and that's when Xbox 360 became the go-to console, was because the PlayStation 3, when it first came out, was $600. A lot of people just couldn't afford that, so they really had to price jump. Now, for the price jump being $299, I don't see that as a weakness in their product. A lot of consoles after the 2.5, 3 year mark drop at least $100. So, I mean,
but
I don't see that.
Has already done that, I think, twice.
Well, they dropped it about $50.
About $100 in price.
Yeah, but PlayStation has dropped also along with it, so I can't see that as a weakness in product when both consoles have dropped almost the exact same amount of money. Now, does that mean the Slim's coming? I do think that means the Slim's coming. So they definitely need to drop the price on one version of the console, so the other version of the console is seen as something new, and it's maybe $100 more, but you want to get this version. For the people who can't, here's our cheaper, more modest version that you can have.
Well, I do know that the price is scheduled to go back up after the 13th of June.
Is it?
Yes.
And they're waiting right
And
there
then we
for that
already know
E3
that
mark.
the Slim is coming. We already know that that's coming
Yeah.
out. It's coming out in 2017.
Yeah.
The Slim is.
Head of the Xbox One has said that.
The new Xbox One, the Xbox One codename Scorpio, the one that doesn't have a name yet, that one is the one that they're reserving it for. Yeah. The one that's coming with the Oculus. It's codename Scorpio.
Now, I wonder if you'll still be able to use the Oculus on the older version of Xbox.
It doesn't sound like you will be able to.
Okay.
I think the Slim will be able to support Oculus. Now, this is all like debatable. Obviously, We'll have to wait until like Microsoft introduces it at E3. But I think the way that it sounds, just between speculations between different reviewers and things like that, is that the Slim may be coming with the ability to support the Oculus, but the Scorpio will be the only one that's currently codenamed Scorpio. Is the only one that will actually come with it, the same way that the Xbox One originally came with Kinect.
See, that's going to be a weird selling point then, since all versions of the PlayStation will be able to hold their version of the VR. So that's going to make some people think hard about which version they want.
I've heard only the PS Neo is the one that's only going to be able to support PSVR.
See, I heard that they made it specifically so it could ride on both. Now, you will have a performance downgrade for the originals, what I've heard. But it would still be able to handle it.
Yeah, I heard this just Friday, was that the new PlayStation is the only one that's supposed to support PSVR. But I don't know for sure. Because I'm not a PlayStation follower, so I don't really follow news for PlayStation, but that's just what I heard for...
Yeah, I've been kind of looking at it closely since I'm going to be buying one soon.
Well, that's all I had. That's it.
Anybody else want to comment?
Looking at VR and stuff like that, the question is, what kind of games are they going to be releasing with it? I mean, I know you said something that they're working on the Minecraft option and stuff like that, but I mean, like with fighting games, are we going to see a push from fighting games and stuff?
That would be cool to see a nice fighting game in VR, like especially from like a first-person perspective. I think it'd be the only way they could pull it off. But I would definitely be down for that. Like, I know a lot of kids back in the day when we would think about VR and virtual reality, like they had those little setups where it's like, you kick and it kicks in the game. Like we always thought of, maybe not in modern times, but back in the 80s and 90s, we thought of like a fighting game would be so rad to have like in virtual reality. So I hope they do that.
I mean, and you got to stop and think, just quick caveat off of something I know about, which is Dot Hack Sign, which is, you know, another anime/manga. It was virtual reality, and the kid gets trapped in it and stuff like that. But that's different story for another time. But it was an RPG, kind of like what the likes of World of Warcraft and RuneScape. Are we going to see a push from developers to make massive multiplayer online RPGs in the virtual reality realm to really immerse them in that? And then, you know, how bad is America going to fall behind the rest of the world in education? But
I would be totally down for it, and I could see a lot of people being more addicted to that than they ever were of Warcraft. So I'd totally be down for it.
They'll start those anonymous groups for VR fucking RPG players and shit. And be like, what are you addicted to? Heroin, crack, VR. I'm doing it right now.
RPG and all the way. MMO RPG.
Daniel, I'm going to need you to take off your glasses. Why? Because you've been chopping wood for 5 hours.
That's kind of like that show, Art Sword Online, I think it's called.
Sword Art Online, yeah.
Yeah. Like, hopefully they do like an RPG like that. I would love the hell out of that. Anybody else?
No, me and Deanne are just waiting for them to come out with Outlast on VR, and then we'll be good.
You'll have your addiction for the day.
Yeah, be scared out of our minds.
That would be good. A good horror game on VR would be amazing.